Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Rachel Williams begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Authorities are making the most of calm weather conditions to strengthen their efforts against the large bushfire burning in Tasmania's remote southwest wilderness. But by the end of the week, conditions will have again deteriorated, ensuring there's no end in sight for firefighters.
Spanning more than 20,000 hectares through once pristine Tasmanian wilderness, this bushfire's keeping authorities busy. Around 30 parks and wildlife staff pulled out of other tourist areas to assist with efforts.
We are prepared, but when we have campaign fires such as this, it does start to take a toll after a period of time.
Over the past 24 hours, the weather has eased, allowing crews to make traction on the work they've done over the last few days.
And that includes strengthening up containment lines, but also doing more investigation into areas that may cause us concern as the weather deteriorates later in the week.
Our New South Wales counterparts providing specialist assistance and respite. These infrared images helping crews determine priorities and which hotspots to target.
There are embers and sparks that can be blown out of that can start a fire again.
Remote area firefighters dropped in, assisted by water bombing aircraft, battling nature at its harshest.
But we still need people on the ground that can do the hard work of turning the burning logs over, breaking things apart and doing all the manual work with hand tools to actually help extinguish the fire.
The area's remoteness is hindering investigations into its impact. The fire is spread across button grass plains and in steep and rocky terrain.
And in other areas we have some very tall forest trees that are 50 metres high, and it's burnt underneath those, so that in itself can be a dangerous and treacherous environment to work in.
But no matter how much effort, the end comes when the rain does.
A westerly airstream over the next few days. There will be the odd light shower or two pushing into the southwest, but nothing of significance.
Until we get significant rain, we'll be managing this fire, so we just have to do the best we can.
Local communities still advised to remain vigilant. Louise Hedger, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania Police says the death of an infant in Launceston last month is not being treated as suspicious. The state government would not comment on the involvement of Child Protection Services in the case. Police have confirmed the 3-month-old boy died on December 30. They say the matter is being treated as a sudden, unexpected death and will be the subject of a coronial inquiry. And a coroner has found the death of an elderly man at a Newstead nursing home in April last year could have been prevented. Alan John Mackenzie was sitting in a princess chair when he fell, sustaining injuries including neck fractures. The 92-year-old died the following morning. The inquest found the chair had not been properly maintained and was not fit for use. Nursing home operator Masonic Care Tasmania says it will act on the coroner's recommendations and has already made changes. The state government has once again come under fire as another week passes without the release of crucial housing and human services data. The public information was due to be updated around 3 weeks ago, but it's still nowhere to be seen. It includes data on the number of children in out-of-home care and people waiting for public housing. But the government says it's a logistical issue stemming from changes to the department.
That will be dealt with in the fullness of time, but that is a completely new department and I'm sure that dashboard will be up as soon as possible.
There has been data released since the departments were split. There is no plausible reason why this data is being hidden. The Minister needs to release it today so that Tasmanians have a clear picture of the housing crisis.
Similar health data was released on time last month. Experts have today revealed Tasmania is fast becoming the new tourism hotspot for younger travellers. Last year, thousands of 25 to 35-year-olds, known as the hipster generation, stopped by the state keen to taste and see what all the hype is about.
A toast to Tasmania's booming tourism market. More young people than ever are now choosing to holiday on the island.
Travel's not seen as a luxury anymore, it's a necessity, and escaping that lifestyle and coming to a place like Tasmania to recharge and reconnect is critically important to what they value.
In the past year, there's been a 5% increase in 25 to 35-year-olds visiting. Tour operators left celebrating this changing demographic.
I think they really value the authenticity of Tassie. I think that authenticity is something that's really working for us and really something that we've got that other destinations would like to have.
The more likely outcome is they come down during this peak time of year, experience Hobart, experience all that's great about this time of year in the city, and obviously become lifelong advocates to keep returning to Tasmania as they get older.
For this new North Hobart bar, young interstate visitors have been an important part of establishing their up-and-coming business.
We're just happy to have everybody in, but majority of the time we do get a younger crowd that want to try things new that they can't try anywhere else.
But there's also been a significant drop in the number of people under 25 visiting.
I think there's an issue perhaps around price for that younger demographic, and ultimately, again, we're also talking about how we compete with other destinations that obviously really do target those markets.
A tourism market just waiting to be tapped into. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
There are calls for the state government to decide the fate of a planned cableway at Mount Roland. Kentish Council says there's growing frustration over whether the project will move to the next stage. The reserve is owned by the state government, and the council says the plan can't move forward without land ownership consent. The government says the matter is still undergoing an independent evaluation process. Some relief for the state's fruit growers is in sight, with Tasmania to be officially declared fruit fly free at midnight. It follows Tasmanian National Senator Steve Martin securing funding to advocate compliance with biosecurity rules last year. Mr Martin says it's great news for regional Tasmanians after the $200 million industry was threatened by the outbreak. Adult flies and larvae were initially detected in the state's north early last year. Some of the largest truckloads ever transported in Tasmania will take to the state's roads tonight as construction for the new Granville Harbour wind farm gets underway. 96 sections of wind turbine tower, each weighing around 146 tonnes, will make the trip from the Burnie port to a nearby holding facility. But transporting the 52-metre long, 6-metre high pieces is no easy feat. Each one will be escorted by authorities along Port Road, Bollard Drive, the Bass Highway and Marine Terrace. A section will be moved every half an hour from 7 p.m. until 7 a.m. until January 15. But traffic delays are expected to be kept to a minimum. Contractors are hoping it's a case of fourth time lucky as they once again attempt to lift the middle of Hobart's embattled Bridge of Remembrance into place. The Hobart City Council today revealed a new plan to complete the lift between the evening of January 18 and early morning on the 21st. The Tasman Highway between Booker Avenue and the Tasman Bridge will be closed completely during this period. The pedestrian bridge was due to be completed by November, but several delays left it considerably behind schedule. Trainers and jockeys will be chasing up to $3.8 million in prize money at this year's Tasmanian Racing Carnivals. The season will officially kick off tomorrow with thousands of punters and the sharply dressed expected to saddle up for the Devonport Cup.
The turf is ready and so is almost $4 million in prize money. Racecourses like these will soon be teeming with thousands as Tassie's racing season kicks off.
This season promises to be one of the best ever. It's just got a sensational feel about it. The atmosphere amongst, after speaking to interstate trainers and owners, I think this could be the best representation of interstate horses we've had for a long time.
Starting with tomorrow's Devonport Cup, this year we'll see 13 race meetings over 6 weeks. Once again, a $100,000 double bonus is up for grabs for trainers who can take out both the Hobart and Launceston Cups.
I can assure you that Darren Weir, who's won the Hobart Cup many times and won the Launceston Cup last year with Bondiga, he is definitely bringing horses to tackle both cups again.
Tas Racing hopes the promise of fashion, paired with indulgences, will be enough to lure those not familiar with a form guide.
I think we're always trying to engage people that don't come to the races normally, particularly getting the younger generation involved and perhaps those that don't come to the races on a normal weekly basis.
Beyond the track, this season will also see the return of the Magic Millions, with some of the state's best racehorses going under the hammer. The state government says it's backing the industry, pumping $300,000 into the sector this year.
It injects $103 million into our local economy. So it is a significant industry that's important to not only Tasmanians but also the Tasmanian government.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Following yesterday's win, French tennis player Pauline Parmentier has enjoyed a sugary celebration. Today visiting a Hobart patisserie to learn more about her own cuisine in the lead up to tomorrow's round 2 match.
The taste of success.
Very good. Very, very good.
French sensation Pauline Parmentier putting the finishing touches on the food she knows best at this popular Hobart patisserie.
It's good to be at the French bakery. I'm really happy to see how they do it and how they prepare all this strawberry tartelette and the macarons. So it was really, I really have fun to do this morning.
It was such a pleasure to have someone from France here who obviously grew up with this kind of food and appreciates French food. So it was really exciting, and it was really exciting for the team as well.
Polishing up her piping skills while celebrating yesterday's sweet victory against Australia's Ellen Perez.
First time for me to win a match here. It was really tough because every time it's tough condition here, really windy, and I almost lost every time first round, so I was really happy to win yesterday.
It marks the tennis star's 6th trip to Tasmania, and she's getting a taste of home right here in Hobart.
I tried some and it's really, really, really good.
And she has some interesting preparation methods heading into round 2.
How are you preparing for your next match?
Eating some tartelette. That's not the best way, I think. Now I will go after to the club, practice and have some treatment a little bit, rest and ready for tomorrow.
Pauline will put down the macarons to face fellow French player Elise Cornet at the Domain. Ruby Kamain, 7 Tasmania News.
The Hurricanes' fairy tale start to the Big Bash season has come to an end. A 112-run stand between George Bailey and Ben McDermott ensured the side still posted a reasonable total, but the Melbourne Renegades chased it down without too much trouble to hand the Hurricanes their first loss of the season.
There was an early infliction of pain on the Big Bash Invincibles.
And a big shout for caught behind and gone.
After weeks of dominance, this was an unfamiliar and unpleasant feeling for Hurricanes fans. Alex Doolan was gone golden duck the very next ball, then Darcy Short in a bizarre moment of confusion.
Oh, good pill. Oh, is that a helmet, glove? Could have been anything. Oh, he's gone.
The umpire changing his tune when Short walked. At 3 for 11, the Canes had crumbled, but the pressure piled on George Bailey and Ben McDermott didn't seem to matter.
That's dispatched into the crowd.
The duo went on a sixes feast. Bailey even brought up his half-century with a maximum.
Oh, look at that. That's high.
That's got to
get 6 more.
Yeah. George Bailey's absolutely smoking them.
The pair's performance was CPR on a flatlining team total. McDermott was ousted on 50, Bailey stayed until the end. Defending a much more attractive total of 145, Riley Meredith wasn't going down without a fight, taking the first wicket. Clive Rose the second. Then Johan Botha made shockwaves from long range.
Hello. That might be a game changer. And Finchie's gone.
It was also a game of inches for Bailey, double-checking to make sure he was still inside the boundary rope. But 145 is rarely enough in T20 cricket. The Renegades handed the Hurricanes their first loss in 6 games. Landing back home today, Ben McDermott says it wasn't all bad, pointing to the side's deep pool of talent.
Good to know that we've got the depth and strength to actually put a good total on the board when you lose 3 for not many.
And after such a strong individual showing, he's happy playing at number 4.
I want to be that guy that can finish innings and close innings out really well for the Hurricanes.
And today's women's Big Bash game between the Hurricanes and the Adelaide Strikers went to a super over after both sides finished on 189 from their 20 over allowance. A Smriti Madhana 6 helped the Hurricanes to a solid total of 13 in the super over, but the Strikers broke their hearts. Sophie Devine hit 2 sixes with the first 2 balls, then edged one for 4 to seal the win. It's the Canes' 10th loss from 12 games. There's been a boil-over in the Hobart International, with unseeded Swiss player Belinda Bencic knocking out last year's finalist and second seed Mihaela Buzanescu. The gutsy 4-6, 6-3, 7-5 win lasted more than 2.5 hours on court.
She's landed it and she's got the win, and what a relief it is.
We both struggled a bit, but then we played great and then we struggled again, so it was a very up and down match.
Earlier in the day, former Hobart champion Elise Cornet advanced to the second round with a straight sets win over Aussie qualifier Alison Bai. And after being wiped out by devastating floods, the Mersey Yacht Club has shown the world what it's made of after hosting a top-quality field for the National Laser Championships. Sailors from around a dozen countries joined the local contingent on Bass Strait for the final day of racing today.
Loaded with laser boats, it was sail to sail at the mouth of the Mersey. The final day of racing at the Australian Championships saw well over 100 hopefuls enter the water. Among them, 16-year-old Adele Octoloni from Hobart. She's a late starter to lasers, having taken them up only 2 years ago, but she's already landed a scholarship with the TIS.
You've got to put a bit of grunt into them to get them going, but they're fun.
Sailors have been playing catch-up for much of the 8-day series after a lack of wind caused delays early on. It's meant those on the water have had their work cut out, with back-to-back racing required to complete the series.
It's pretty hard on your body, like you've got to have the endurance and like the strength to stay out on the water for 6 hours.
These championships have drawn sailors from around the globe to Devonport. The Australian titles are a stepping stone to the World Series and the Olympics. Another Tasmanian, Sam King, won't make Tokyo 2020, but he's eyeing off the Paris Games in 2024.
You've only got yourself to blame if you do something wrong, but then you can take all the credit if you do something right, so it's pretty rewarding in that aspect.
It's the first time the Nationals have been held in Devonport since 1977, and only 2 years after floods nearly tore the club's fabric apart. This event has not only stirred interest among members, it's also tightened the bond with other clubs along the coast.
This is a bigger event than our club could handle, so we've got people here from Launceston, Wynyard, Ulverston, all up and down the Tamar. We've proven that we can actually do it.
And when you're racing with the spirit of Tasmania in your wake, it's a brilliant way to showcase Bass Strait to the world.
Good evening. The northeast found the warm weather today. Fingal, the high with 29 degrees, Hobart and Devonport 22 degrees, Launceston 23 and Burnie 24. Now the Bureau take these readings at 3 o'clock, so a few districts did warm up late this afternoon. St Helens, Friendly Beaches and Ouse all on 27, Grove 25, Flinders Island 21, King Island and Strawn 20. Some high level cloud moved over the state in northwesterly band ahead of a cold front which has that cloud moving over the west coast. Cold unstable air follows that front over the Bight. An inland trough over New South Wales has developed thunderstorms, and ex-tropical cyclone Penny is generating a massive cloud further up the coast. Cloud also with the trough over the tropics. Tomorrow the cold front moves off as the high over the Bight becomes more dominant. The broad area of low pressure remains over the mainland. West to southwesterly winds tending westerly in the morning, reaching 30 knots at times over the west, south and northeast, and even 35 knots later over the southwest. Swells to 3 metres in western and southern waters. So in that southern district we have a gale warning from southeast Cape to Low Rocky Point, a strong wind warning for remaining waters with the exception of the northwest coast, and a small craft wind alert for the lakes. Hobart partly cloudy and 19 tomorrow, just 18 for Geeston with a possible shower. Bothwell 17 degrees. Launceston, partly cloudy, 11 overnight, 22 the top, 20 for Devonport for Cup Day. A nice day for Speed Force to win the Cup, 22 for Cressy and partly cloudy. For Burnie tomorrow, partly cloudy and 18 degrees, 17 for Strawn with a few showers, partly cloudy on King Island, Curry 18. St Helens, an early shower or two and 22 degrees, 22 also for Swansea and partly cloudy, Orford 20. And as we looked at the UV, it's only 10 for Hobart, but that's still very high, extreme for the rest of the state. To Thursday, a shower over the west and south clearing, fine weather elsewhere. Fine on Friday apart from possible showers over the north and east, light winds tending northeasterly, and on Saturday a warmer day with a few showers contracting to the north coast. A sunny 34 in Perth tomorrow, early cloud over Adelaide, a light morning shower in Melbourne, a possible storm for Sydney and 25 degrees, and a shower in Brisbane. Hobart, partly cloudy and 18 at the moment. Launceston the same, but 22 degrees and partly cloudy in Devonport and 21. You won't see me tomorrow night, Rach. I'll be spending my cup winnings from Devonport.
Oh, good luck. Have a drink for me at the end. Thank you. Well, that's all your news for now. We're back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.